What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls waste an opportunity against a team that is on a 5-game losing streak and had 9 wins overall throughout the course of their season against the Houston Rockets. We find a way to somehow disappear in a whole half of basketball. Can you believe it? The Bulls went missing in a whole half of basketball, and we ultimately lose in very, very bad fashion. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls overall game today. Who was your player of the game, and your thoughts and opinions on how well the Bulls actually played. We lost this game 133 to 118, and look, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the end for the Chicago Bulls, or that this team simply doesn't have it in them or whatnot, because again, we just came off of a 3-game win streak and we dropped the game against the Houston Rockets. I think some of that will probably come if the Bulls continue to lose, because again, it's more for me about, I guess, the consecutive losses that we suffer. Again, in the next game against the Bucks, and if we lose against the Pistons, that's when you're going to get the pure anger out of me in terms of how this Bulls team actually plays. But there's no doubt about it, this team dropped a game that they should have won. We always talk about playing to opponents' level. We always talk about trying to win these games. I don't know what our problem is performing at home either. I really feel like the Bulls struggle at home. That's one thing to take away from this game, because we lost at home again. Again, we lost at home. Very, very frustrating in that sense, but it's just a winnable game just purely because of the Rockets situation. They're a young team. They fight hard. You have to give them credit. They played extremely well. They made some very tough shots. Another team that is not a great three-point shooting team comes against the Chicago Bulls and shoots lights out against us. That's happened to the Knicks, the Hawks. Happened to other teams around the league as well. And now it's happened to the Houston Rockets. They come out against the Bulls. The Bulls, terrible start. Rockets shoot all their threes you could possibly want from them, and they walk away with a very convincing win overall. And again, I'm not here to say that the Bulls are finished or anything like that. I still think we have a long way to go until I'm going to be saying that, in terms of, again, if we suffer another 3-4 game losing streak, you're going to hear me say the same things I've been saying ever since the last 4-game losing streak and the one before that as well. So I'm not going to be saying anything like that here. But this is a winnable game, and the Bulls didn't win it. It's really as simple as that. It's all we could talk about. The Bulls lost a game that they should have won. Nothing else more to say, really. But let's talk about this disappearing act that the Chicago Bulls did today. I think damn near everybody disappeared in the second half of basketball, but even in the first half of basketball. We're a good magic trick team, man. We can find a way to disappear. No fans can see us in the building, and we're not performing at a high standard. And again, it's a beautiful trick. But let's talk about it, really. There are a couple of guys that maybe you look on the grand scheme of things, they had okay games. And some of them are absolutely dreadful, but they're only good for maybe a couple. They have sparks in a game and then they just disappear in other times. And I'm going to be talking a lot about some of these guys. For example, Nikola Vucevic, I think he had maybe one good quarter. The second quarter disappeared for 3 quarters of that game. Only 10 points for Nikola Vucevic today. Is that acceptable for a big 3-level player? The answer is no. And yes, the Bulls found it difficult to find him. Yes, he missed almost every single easy shot you could ask for. But 10 points as a big 3 of this team, when we need the big 3 to play well, is not good enough. And Vucevic has to know that. Next game, we need a big response from Vucevic. Simple as that, really. That's all I can say on the situation. Then obviously, you go to guys like Ayo. Ayo had a very, very bad start to the game. His first quarter was arguably the worst quarter I've seen of basketball from Ayo Dosunmu throughout his whole career so far. But again, you let that go. As a young guy, he will develop. And he was 3 from 7 from the field overall. That's not too bad. But I felt like he disappeared for half the game as well. That's something that we just can't see happening. He's a starter. He played 23 minutes, and I felt like for half the game I didn't notice him all that well. Same goes for Kobe. Kobe, 14 points, 11 of them were in the fourth quarter and during those garbage time minutes. How is that going to help this team when he's only scoring when, again, the game is pretty much over and the belief of the team has gone shot completely? Kobe delivered one of the best highlight plays of the night in that lob to Zach LaVine, and that's a very good moment. But outside of his 4 assists and 2 steals, his points are coming in a situation where it doesn't necessarily affect the game. In this game, at least, against the Houston Rockets. It's something, maybe against the Knicks, he's scoring in the fourth quarter. In that game, We needed those points, and that helped us come back, and we weren't that far away. When we're down by 15 and now we're starting to score, that's something we should have seen a little bit earlier in the game. He has the capabilities to do that. But again, bad shot selection from Coby White in the first half of that game, and then again, he kind of just got open in the fourth quarter and he shot the shots and it went in. So look, I think most of these guys disappeared. Goran Dragic, I kind of blame this one a little bit on Billy Donovan, but Goran Dragic had 12 points, 10 of them in the first half, only 2 in the second half. So that's a disappearing act in itself. And I blame Billy Donovan for making Goran Dragic disappear, because he didn't play him in the final ends of the game when arguably he was the best guard of the night, realistically. So again, this is just really unacceptable from this Bulls team, this performance. And again, it's a step back. It's 1 step forward and 2 steps back for this team. How can we respond from this? That is what my eyes are looking at next. Yes, we lost. We have to take this loss. It's an embarrassing loss in many ways, but again, when you're on a 3-game winning streak, you're bound to lose one of these games. I wish it wasn't against the Rockets, but lo and behold, we did lose to the Rockets, who did play better than the Bulls overall. I'm not upset too much about that. I'm upset in how we lost. That pisses me off, but I'm not necessarily... If this was a close and competitive game and we lost to the Rockets, I probably would be in better spirits, because you can't expect this Bulls team to go on a 10-game win streak. They're inconsistent. They're not built in that way. But how are we going to respond from this? Are we going to respond by playing the elite level of defense that we did for the last 3 games in the next game against Milwaukee? Are we going to see that level of play from the Bulls team? Are we going to see elite level defense? Are we going to see the big 3 share the ball and all have great games? Are we going to see involvement from other guys? Or are we going to fall back into our shell and do what we know best, and that's isolation and hero ball like we saw in this game, and also just lack of effort, lack of communication, Vucevic not running back on defense half the time? Is that the Bulls team we're going to see? That's not what I want to see. That second half was embarrassing. And again, the first quarter was embarrassing. The second quarter was fantastic, man. The end of the second quarter is something I live to see by this Bulls team. But it just wasn't consistent enough in this game, and that's why we walk away with a loss. The must improve for me is the whole team. Again, there's too many people to list at one person. I think Vucevic easily should be in the must improve category today for his defense and his offense. I think Coby White should be in the must improve today for not necessarily providing that scoring punch until the game was basically over. I think Ayo's first quarter is something that can't be excused. It's a bad performance from Ayo Dosunmu. And I'm not saying these guys are bad overall. They could definitely pick it up in the next game. It's one bad game from Ayo. It's a bad game from Coby. Both these guys have had very strong games in the last couple of games. It's good from them, but they both had bad games today, in my eyes at least. Or at least they didn't make the impact when we needed them to make the impact. Goran Dragic, again, I kind of put that on Billy, but yeah, that's another situation. And even Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine was very upsetting today. I mean, 2 from 6 from 3, and some of those shots, man, really so annoying. I think DeMar was the only one that really showed up, which is why he's my player of the game. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the player of the game is in a game like this, when you're basically getting blown out half the game. You got blown out in the first quarter and you fought your way back to 10 points. You got blown out in the third quarter and you never recovered since. That, again, a player of the game for DeMar DeRozan, yes, congratulations to him, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things when you're losing these types of games. The Bulls record, look, again, we got to find a way to respond. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to be doom and gloom. I'm not saying this team is done and over with. A lot of people might, but I'm not going to do that. The next game is going to be against the Milwaukee Bucks, but the Bulls record has got to be much better than this. But the Bulls record is 14-19. They've got to be better than that, ladies and gentlemen, if they want to compete with the East. Again, our schedule is brutal. That's why I was desperate for this team to get this win against the Rockets, and that's why I am upset, but I'm not going to lose my mind over this loss. But look at the schedule we have next. We got the Bucks very soon. We got Detroit. They're not going to be a pushover if we can't beat the Rockets consistently, and we continue to play down to opponents' level. So the Detroit Pistons won't be an easy game. The Cavs twice. That's not an easy game. Brooklyn are on top of the world right now. That's not an easy game. You got the Philadelphia 76ers soon as well. That's not an easy game. You got the Jazz and Boston very soon. Those are not easy games. None of these games are going to be easy for the Bulls. As much as we have technically the easiest schedule, the second easiest schedule in the NBA, it doesn't matter. because these games are not easy for the Bulls, and if they can't find consistency, then you will see maybe one win against the Cavs, one loss against the Cavs. We might be able to beat Brooklyn, but we'll lose to Philly. These types of things, and we're kind of, I guess, the term trading buckets, it might just be trading wins and losses at this point. Yeah, okay, 3-game winning streak, 3-game losing streak. That's kind of where we are. We're a 500 team right now that is, I guess, 4 games below 500, or actually 5 games below 500 right now. That's how I see this team at the moment. But again, let me know in the comments below what you have to say about this Bulls game. Was it a good one? Was it a bad one? And everything in between. I'm sorry if this is not the reaction that you wanted. Again, as much as I am frustrated about this loss, I still believe we can see positivity from this Bulls team if we respond against the Milwaukee Bucks. If we can respond well, beat a very good team in the Milwaukee Bucks, and I guess show that this game is a one-off compared to the last 3 games where we were solid, then I'm happy with that. But until we can see that, we're going to have to wait. We have to wait and wonder, was this a one-off game for the Bulls after their 3-game winning streak, or is this the level of Bulls that we truly are? Just a team that can turn it on at any given moment, but ultimately is too inconsistent to actually compete in the Eastern Conference. Let's wait and see. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you're all doing well. Again, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.